you've got this awareness, and how do you function out in society?
For me, the term society is very abstract. How about for you? What's society?
Beings of people that do nothing but think and judge and criticise, and you are aware that thinking is not something that you should practice on a regular basis. That thoughts are not something you should practice on a regular basis.
Who tells you that you shouldn't do something?
What?
Who tells you that you should not practice thoughts?
Well, me.
Who?
Me. Because thoughts are what causes the grief. You have a thought and you just move it on, but it doesn't stay there for too long. Non-duality is about not thinking, though, isn't it?
It's not about getting rid of a thought.
No, I don't want to get rid of them. I just don't want them to hang around.
That's right. But then the question would be, who wants to run away from those thoughts, or who wants to get rid of a thought, or who wants to live their life without this negative thought? Because I think that's a very important question on anybody's so-called path. Who wants to get rid of all of that shit?
Well, I don't know. You don't get rid of it, do you? You just move it along.
You move it along. You move the thought along, or you move what along? You move it, push it away.
No, you don't push. You just move it on to.
What do you move on? I mean, it's a genuine question. I want to understand. What do you move on? You take the suffering here and you take it here and say, I move it on to here, or so it's out of the way.
Good point. Where do I move it?
I mean,
to?
it's a question.
Yeah, where do I move it?
And
it
anyway,
just goes.
When it goes, it goes.
If you let it sit
and when
there.
it comes, it comes.
Huh?
When it comes, it comes.
And then it goes, it goes.
When it goes, it goes. Now, who are you to interfere with that process? What is that in you, that what you just said before, that you shouldn't think or something because it means suffering? What did you say before? You shouldn't think certain thoughts because it means suffering, is it right?
No. Well, let's see. Let's go back to what I basically think. I think. You've got me there.
No.
What do I think? Okay, this is what I think.
Yeah.
I think we all have thoughts. We all have thoughts. It's what we do with those thoughts that's important. Do we let them sit there and linger, or do they just move on to a place that we don't know where they move on to? But they don't hang around for too long.
So what would be the ideal situation, if I may ask?
For me.
There's a thought coming, and then you say, it is important what we do with it. What do we do with the thought?
Well, let's say we're driving down the road.
Yeah.
Someone pulls out in front of you.
And then there's a thought coming.
Oh, the bastard.
Who is coming?
The bastard. I was going to say the bastard just pulled out in front of me.
The bus just pulls out.
The bastard just pulled
out. The bastard.
Okay.
So that thought comes.
Oh,
and so,
okay.
and then it's very important what you do with that thought.
You saw that? And then we either just sit there and keep on thinking about that man who pulled out in front of us, or do we just go, okay, well, he pulled out in front of us, and off it goes.
So, yeah, but you find yourself saying, "You bastard, you pulled
well,
up."
that was just.
You could think it.
Yeah. I probably would.
So what is wrong about that thought?
Nothing.
So why do you want to?
I think I put that the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, if you feel it doesn't make sense to think it, then that's another thought.
Well, no, how do I explain it? Okay, so if I was conscious of what I was thinking, okay, he pulls out in front of me, I'm annoyed for a split second, And then they just let it go. But I'm thinking...
Who is there to let it go?
I'll stop it.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel
Who's
that
it
you
to
let
look
it
at
go,
me?
the thought goes. Do you need to let it go?
Well, true. There'll be a time when it just won't even come.
Yeah. So sometimes it comes and then it goes.
But sometimes it may not even come at all.
Yes.
And that's what I am thinking at this moment, that might be a good time.
So you're pretty choosy, hey? You don't want
No.
certain thoughts and you don't want other thoughts. You
No.
you want certain thoughts but not other thoughts.
Well, I'm thinking again that eventually that someone will pull out in front of me, won't even have a thought.
Could be. But as long as the thoughts are coming, you bastard, you pulled up in front of me. I just wonder whether you should really waste your time trying to get rid of this thought, because it has already appeared. And it'll go anyway. So the reflection on the thought that tells you I shouldn't have thought it is a bit unnecessary, because what it does, it creates an entity, which is you, Judith, that should have been observant enough to prevent a thought from coming up. That's one way to complicate things.
Well, that goes back to the simplicity thing that I like.
Yes. Which is?
There is no thought.
Yeah, or there is a thought, but you don't take offense. If there's a thought and you take offense that you think that thought and said you shouldn't have thought a thought, and in future you don't want to think that thought, you're making that thought a very big issue, really, because you spend more time with it than perhaps necessary. But if you do happen to spend the time with it, then this is of course what's happening, and then you look at the whole thing and you see, okay, there's a thought and I think that I shouldn't have thought this, and in future I don't want to think about it. You see at the whole drama that you're creating around this simple thought, and then you say, okay, that's a drama that arises. But by seeing that it is a drama that's maybe not even necessary, you simplify things really, because you just see the thought arising, you bastard, you pull up in front of me, and then this thought goes away, and that was it. And then if you make a philosophy out of it and say, in future I will, keep account of how often I have to think this when I go through traffic, and if I reduce that occurrence from 20 to 10, I know that I'm on the right way to self-realization and enlightenment. It's a terrible thing, to think that you have to fix up all these things that you feel are not necessarily purely positive.
So how do we work on that no thought?
Yeah, but that's the first question, whether you should work on no thought. Because the working on something is definitely an activity that may prolong the momentum of thinking. You thought, I don't want to think you. You spend more time on working out how not to think, and it creates more thoughts.
So, a time in your life.
Yeah, the question is whether you should.
Thinking once.
The question would be whether you should just face the thoughts as they turn up without wanting to run away from them, even though your experience has told you that there are thoughts that used to make what you call Judith unhappy, by the power that they used to have, because you took them really seriously. And rather than to give them so much value, you just see them when they come up and know that they really can't harm you, because you sense that within you. Even the word within you is wrong, but you sense that which has nothing to do with thought.
You see, the unhappy Judith would have once had someone pull out in front of them And
unhappy Judith once.
The unhappy Judith once would have had someone pull out in front of them, and she would have thought, bastard pulled out in front of me. I'm going to follow him, and I'm going to, not sure, follow him.
But is there an unhappy Judith? Have you ever seen I mean, right now, for example, would you be able to point to something that's at this moment unhappy?
No. Can't point to anything that makes me unhappy.
Okay.
But what my point was that once upon a time, back, that car pulling out in front of me would have, the thoughts, processes in my head would have been huge, would have lasted a couple of days actually. But now, on my journey of awareness, the thought comes, the car pulls out, then the thought goes. But I'm guessing the next step will be no thought at all.
Yeah, but that's just a guess. Would you be really disappointed if that thought would come back, even though you feel it shouldn't be coming back? I think the progress, if there's any such thing, is not that the thought doesn't come up. It's really the ripple effect that it used to have, because it was rippling against your ego, and it was and you told this bastard that he made you, Judith, unhappy. You making me unhappy. Who am I to deserve such bad luck that always when I come past this point, a car pulls out? Why doesn't it happen to the people behind me? Or something like that. It's because you relate it to an image that you do have about yourself that is the victim of the thought that you had about this man. But if there's no image about yourself that it can attach to, because at the moment you don't have any self-image, you're just an open space, is that right? Can you point to something that you would say is limited at the moment? Can you show me your identity?
No.
Can you show me your mind?
No, right, can't show
you
much,
can't.
can I?
I mean, at the
Jeanette
moment.
says, just a headless body, really.
What's the way of the headless body? If you can't say, that's great. Can you say what it is?
No.
Okay, so that no, what does it point to? Does it point to a structure, or does it point to something that has no structure? Something that is undefinable and wide open?
I don't have an answer.
But that's very nice. I love that.
Oh,
I love that you have no answer, because I don't have one either. But I'm still asking the question. And then if you say there's no answer, that's beautiful. There's something in you that sees everything that you do and everything that you say and everything that you sense. And that which is sensing everything, does it have a form? Does it have a center? So if you try to sense what you are...
I could easily parrot, but I don't want to.
You don't need to.
I don't need to. I could easily parrot what Judith is.
But that's a memory, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So if we and even the memory, if you were to do this, is being seen by something that's not memory. So what is seeing that? What is closer than your memory is what is seeing the memory, right? So what is the nature of what is seeing the memory? Or if you don't look back into your own memory, that is hearing what's happening or seeing what's happening. So what is that?
Can you give me a hint? Can you give me a hint?
No,
So what
because
you're
I don't
asking,
know. I'm just still asking the question.
You're asking me what?
Can you show me, or can you define, or can you tell me how that's what is looking at the memory? If you talk about your past, can you tell me what is looking at you sitting on the chair? Can you tell me what's sensing your fingers to do that? Can you tell me what is...
This is my brain, really, isn't
your
it?
brain? Yeah, but that's a theoretical conclusion. Or can you feel your brain? It's just what you have learned.
Well, it's just automatic, really, isn't it?
It may be automatic, but what is perceiving that things are automatic? What's perceiving it? What is perceiving your thought? It's the brain.
Yeah, my thoughts.
The thoughts are perceiving thoughts?
No,
Who is
my
perceiving
thoughts are
the
telling
thoughts?
me that, I guess...
Who are the thoughts telling something? And the thoughts, when you say anything, who is seeing those thoughts? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, often.
Okay, so who is seeing it? Or what is seeing it? It's something that's prior to thought, isn't it?
It's history.
It is?
History.
History?
It's the past.
No, the history will be presented via thoughts. You remember the history by thinking about it, right? But who is seeing these thoughts? You've got to see the thoughts to understand them. You've got to see thoughts. Who is seeing the thoughts that you're thinking? Is there something that sees it? Or is it seen by something that's prior to thought? The thought, whatever thought you have, has to be seen as a thought to be seen. If you sense within you what is noticing the thoughts, how would you describe that which perceives thoughts?
I don't have an answer for that.
Or, for that matter, how would you describe that which perceives your butt sitting on that chair? Because you have a sense perception there.
Well, I wasn't thinking about my butt sitting on this chair until you just said so.
Yes, that's right. I guided you to it. But there's a sense perception, and that sense perception that you feel sitting on the chair is happening irrespective of a thought. So it's a sense perception. And if you look at this one, for example, even if you don't have the thought pen, you'll still see colors without even naming the colors, but you see them. The seeing is happening even without thoughts. So what is seeing? What is sensing? It's not the thoughts. The thoughts are describing what you're seeing. They define it. But the seeing is happening independently from thinking.
Your eyes are sending messages to your brain to tell you that's
that's right. But first you see it, and then a thought comes up that tells you what you have learned it is called, and what you have learned it can be used for, and stuff like that. But the seeing itself is happening, and there is something that sees.
And it's not your brain.
That's a theory. I mean,
there's something other than your brain that sees.
It's a theory. I want you or I want us to sense if we can sense actually something that is seeing. No? Can you sense something that's seeing?
Can I sense something that's seeing?
Yeah, or sense something that's sensing?
No.
So can you define? Can you point to something where the seeing comes from?
No.
Yeah, but that's quite extraordinary that you say no, because in the past you would have said, "Oh, that's me. It's me, Judith," and then you have some imagination of what you call Judith, which is just a collection of thoughts. This is Judith. But if those thoughts about you are not there, seeing is still happening. Is that right? Am I right?
Mm-mm. You are.
So that seeing, where does it come from? It comes out of something where you don't know what it is. It just happens.
It's automatic.
The seeing happens, right? The seeing of the seeing happens. The sensing of the sensing happens. The thinking happens, right? And there's nobody called Judith behind that whole thing that's happening. Nobody there.
Mm.
Would you agree with this from point of your experience?
What do I think of this?
Do you agree with this from your
Yes.
experience of what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's fantastic. I mean, that's sort of the point. If there's nobody who is seeing and sensing and thinking, if you can't point to anybody, then this
There's no thing.
is no thing. And that's the no thing that we are talking about. And that no thing you have as much, or not you have, but the no thing is expressing itself through you sitting here as much as expresses itself through this sitting here. And the chair being here, and the cup of tea that I haven't drunk. So it's getting cold. So that's all coming out of nothing.
Mm.
But by seeing that and by sensing it, it's a huge relief, isn't it? Because then you know that nothing is expressing itself by saying, "You bastard, you're pulling up in front of me." That's what happens as an expression of the no thing. And or another negative thought that the so-called Judith used to have in the past was an expression of that no thing. So by seeing that's all you've got to do for it to not have that pseudo effect on an imagined entity called Judith. It just happened and had no meaning in the face of the no thing that you sense is there, that you're expressing at every given moment of life.
I have nothing to say.
And then you stop worrying about having positive thoughts, you stop worrying about preventing thoughts, because you enjoy the scene from the perspective of nothing, which is not a separate identity. Whatever happens is emerging out of this no thing that you just referred to. That's it.
Mm.
So simple, isn't it?
Mm. Simple is
yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
I was thinking, no, I wasn't thinking. Pain.
Mm.
Now, the reason that I say pain is a thought.
No.
It's not a thought.
No.
What is pain?
Pain is a sensation. And
And
then if you
it
think
comes-
about it and say, me poor Judith, I have to go through this pain again and again, then that's suffering.
I'm talking physical pain.
Physical pain is pain.
working. I'm in pain.
Then you'll see,
What?
out of nothing, a thought will come,
Yeah.
go and get a Panadol. And then, if that doesn't work, you say, out of nothing, a thought will come that tells, that gives the instruction, take 2 Panadols, maybe. Okay? But you may find that there's not a thought that says, me, poor Judith, have to go this again and again. I have to experience it. Why does it happen to me? Why does it not happen to other people? You may not have those thoughts, because those thoughts are related to the concept of an ego that feels sorry for itself. But if you don't find Panadol and it's at 2 o'clock in the morning and all the chemist stores are closed, you still will say, this pain, it doesn't belong to anybody, it's just pain.
It's not personal, in other words.
And the thought to get Panadol is not personal either.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And the thought, you bloody bastard, you pull up in front of me, is not personal either.
Well, that's a good way to put
And
it.
to open that bottle and to put it in that body is not personal either.
Well, I wasn't thinking of anything. I'm not actually doing anything right now. So we have nothing to talk about. We've covered pain. That's very good.
If there's an overwhelming sense of I'm stuck in this type of drama, is there a way that I can get out of it? That is often the question. That's what people usually would look for, because they don't like the drama, they don't like the suffering that goes with it. So they then look for a solution. And the interesting issue is that even looking for a solution keeps you in the drama. And so if the whole drama then is seen as a drama and you just look at it and let it play itself out without reinforcing it by asking further questions how to get rid of it, for example, was it maybe not even necessary that I said that, hey, because it's not applicable for you.
It just sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
People must be exhausted.
Yeah, and isn't that interesting, because often it's the sense of no thing that you were mentioning is often realized after exhaustion has happened. That's right, because you just are so sick of the drama that you have been going through, whatever it's relationship drama, whatever it is, that you just give up. And in this giving up, then there's a chance that you stop relating it to an imagined entity called me.
But people don't understand those words, giving up, do they? They think if they're giving up, then they've...
Giving up means
giving
just
up,
not...
they've failed. They're giving up, I fail. I don't think like that. But I'm saying is people would think that giving up is failure. But actual giving up is freedom? Would that be the right word?
Yes, because the resistance, of course, means there's still an enemy. And the enemy is the moment that you don't like.
You know what I'd like us to cover? The functioning in society when you're not completely aware, but you're aware. The processes.
But what society?
Well, that's right. We'll go back to that. What
Yeah,
society?
what society? As far as you are concerned, you meet one person and you meet another, and that's it. That's your interaction with society.
I think I've just found that answer
Yeah.
to that one. I'm clearly thinking about how do you function in society, and that's where I've made my mistake.
Yes, because you wanted to set up rules for behavior patterns, you know, how you should and how you shouldn't.
How do
And
you
the
function
worry
in society?
came in.
You just
see how you interact with society. So now you're in society with me because you're not by yourself. So, and you see from moment to moment out of this nothing comes a thought. And you don't need to worry about the thought. If a thought starts to worry about the next thought, then it's getting really complicated. So you don't worry about your next encounter with society. You'll see what's happening, and you'll feel it. The happening comes out of this nothingness. And then, once that is seen, that there's nothing expressing itself, then you don't see time, you just see different expressions happening in a sequence, but they all come out of this sense of presence of nothing, right? Am I talking to myself?
no.
Yeah. There's the presence of nothing, that's what you are. And out of this presence of nothing, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Turning with the chair, the nodding with your head, whatever it is, coming out of this presence of nothing, and there's no time. It's just bubbling in itself, in this non-timely presence.
It's weightless. You feel weightless. That's a good word. So you said freedom's always a good word, but weightless is another word. Your work is done.
Prost.
What is it?
In German you say Prost.
Do you?
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's the same as cheers.
Nice cold cup of tea.
But it's obviously nobody's work, you know. It's all out of nothing.